watch God provide. Thank you so much. As I lay me down, heaven hear me now. I'm lost without a cause. After giving it my all, winter storms have come. And darken my sun. And after all that I've been through, who on earth can I turn to? I look to you. Ooh, I look to you. Hey, after all my strength is gone, in you I can be strong. Look. We celebrate. for me, I gotta stand and testify. This is my day to celebrate. For everything you've done for me, I gotta stand and testify. I gotta dance and testify. Come on, come on, come on.
Good morning, and welcome and happy Sabbath. Welcome to Kanisa, whether you're in the building or online. We just want to welcome you into worship this morning. We are happy to be together, happy to be live, happy to be together online. We give God glory and honor and praise and thanks for being here and being here together. This morning, our Peacemaker series is going to continue. I don't know about you guys, but it's been practical application of the Word of God in this series. Pastor Frank's going to be our speaker this week and next week, and this morning's presentation is entitled Specks and Logs. Scripture is going to be taken from Matthew 7:1-5, so you can get that ready. Keep your finger on it, bookmark it on your phone. That's going to be what we're using this morning as we get into the Word. afternoon on Sunday, July the 24th. There are more details on the flyer, and practices are Mondays and Wednesdays at Albert Campbell in the east, and in the west, practices are on Tuesdays and Thursdays at Father Henry Carr. On Tuesdays and Thursdays, there's a ministry that's connected to Kanisa. It's not a Kanisa ministry, but it's led by a current member and a former member. It's a prayer meeting called Safe at 7. It's really about prayer and supporting each other. In the month of June, their focus is church hurt. And we just realized that a lot of people may be dealing with that, so we're giving an extra push. If you want to have a season of prayer, if you want to hear other testimonies of people that have experienced church hurt of all kinds, how they've dealt with it, and to come in a space that's safe to share and safe to receive a blessing, please consider joining with this ministry as you journey dealing with that particular issue. If you are, and it may not even be for you, it may be for someone that you know, so please share. Our last announcement for this morning. Our own Elder Kaya volunteers with a ministry, and they're asking for other volunteers. The Missions Ontario team is going to be supporting the St. Saviour's Anglican Church to help pack and deliver care packages for migrant workers in our area. They are requesting donations of non-perishable foods as well as hygiene items and gently used or new clothes. Please contact Elder Kaya Williams if you'd like to donate or volunteer. So for either one, her number is 647-970-3709. That's 647-970-3709. Donations will start to be collected on today, June 25, up until the 23rd of July. If you need more details as to how you can help, either with your person or with your gifts, please reach out to Elder Kaya. We thank you so much in advance for your support. Thank you for being live in the house this morning. We're trusting God to do what He wants in our midst this morning and to bless us. Our prayer will be online, given by two of our dear children, Hannah and Isaiah. So I welcome you as we go into a posture of prayer at this time.
Good morning, church. It is now time for our intercessory prayer.
Please bow your heads and close your eyes for prayer.
Dear Lord, thank you for this day. Thank you for blessing us, taking care of us, taking us this far, and never letting us forget your worship. Please help us to always remember who you are, why you came, and how you came to save us. Please help us to have a wonderful day today, learn new things to help others, and please help us to always know that you are there. Please help those who have been hurt, who don't know the way, and who just don't really have things that we usually need to live. Please protect them.
Dear Jesus, thank you for this day. Please help us to have a good Sabbath, and please help those who are grieving over family members' loss. Give them the things they need to live. If they're struggling with a relationship with Christ, just bless them with something important in their lives and give them love, peace. And please help us to have a good day and learn more about you. Amen.
Hi, my name is Malcolm. Hi, my name is Sade. And we're here to do prayer. Jesus, help the church to be good. Help the pastor to be good. Help the people to be silent while the pastor speaks. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen. Dear God, please help us to be good. Please help us to obey. Please help the church to obey your commandments and not scatter among the people. In Jesus' name, amen. Bye. Bye. God bless. God bless. Have a good Sabbath. Bye.
Good morning, everyone. You ever hear those people say, well, keep singing until it's loud enough? I won't do that to you. Let's just chill, let's relax. I kind of like with the lights down. This is good. It's a hot day, but I'm thankful for the warmth. I'm Italian in background, so this is good. Maybe it's getting a little hot, but this is all right. I'm happy about it. Where's Elder Layla? Did you announce the ice cream feast yet? Just so you know, after service today at 2 p.m. is an ice cream feeding frenzy. Okay? So gather yourself, all who are young and young at heart, which is everyone when it comes to ice cream, and we will meet out in the front, and it's available to all of us as well as to our neighbors, our community. This is going to be a fun event. It's going to be at 2 o'clock, okay? I actually have a wedding to do. I almost said funeral. I have a wedding to do. Someone's going to say same thing, right? But I have a wedding to do at 4:30 in Port Hope, so I actually have to get away, unfortunately. So I'll be thinking of you as you eat the ice cream. But right now, I actually want to have just a little order of business that we need to take care of as a congregation. There are those who are also connecting online. So we have our nominating committee report. So that is the changing of terms from one leadership and team to the next. And we finished that. We did the first reading last week at our family meeting. And those of you who are members received it during the week. And so we want to do the second reading of the same report, and then we will have a vote. What we're going to do is that those of us who are here will be able to vote with upraised hand, and those who are online, you will receive a code. That's the code right there. And it'll also be a link so that you can also do the vote, and then we can move forward. Okay? So just so I give you the process. After our secretary Dee gives the report, I will ask for a motion, and then there will be a second, and then we will do the vote. There's no discussion. The reason why we have a first and second reading is for the discussion could happen in between if there is any, and that's what we'll do. Okay, I think we're ready to go. Dee, are you? Okay.
Okay, so this is the Kanisa Fellowship officers from July 1st, 2022 to December 31st, 2025. Starting with the Children and Youth Ministries, the director is Ashley Anderson. The Adventure leader is Dahlia Nicholson. The Pathfinder leader is Tobin Cooper. Pathfinder director leader is Nancy Skinner. Children's Ministry leader is Dion London. Children's Ministry team, Tricia Cooper, Rebecca Ford Klum, Adolph Williams, and Melissa Lewis. The Youth Ministry leader, Yolanda Watson. The Youth Ministry team, Nigel Hunter, Caroline Seal, Simona Seal, and Nancy Skinner. Children's Ministry director, Laurel Gordon. Church Administration, Laurel Gordon, she's the director. Church Administration team, Shiri Gopi, Vanessa Carby, Carol Nicholson, Sharon Cumberbatch, Yvonne Jones, and Ruth John. Communications Director, Richard Picard. Communications Team, Floza Lewis, Nancy Skinner, Dwayne Ryan, Kim Davey, Ruth Jones, and Sharon Noel. Production and Media Director, Melissa Lewis. Media Tech Leader, Ian Lewis. Media Tech Team, Sophia Dell'Erba, Nicholas Dell'Erba, Wayne Houston, Caleb Boyce, Zaria Donald, Shane Laro, Floza Lewis, Lillian Sheminga, Carol Ford, Rhonda Scott, Ruel Knight, and Dave Lawrence. The Service Producer Leader is currently vacant, so the Production and Media Director, Melissa Lewis, will assume that role. The Service Producer Team, Jamie Sterling, Diane Seaton, Kiara Carvalho, and Rayanne Morgan. Congregational Care Director, Diane Seaton. Lighthouse Leader, Diane Seaton. Lighthouse Team Ordained, Jamie Sterling, Lisa Carvalho, Wayne Houston, Shanique Baines, Dina Williamson Ryan, and Cecil Lewis. Lighthouse Team Unordained, Irene Dell'Erba, Vilmara Lucas, and Julianne Barnaby. The Hospitality Leader, Ruth John. The Hospitality Team, Dean Lloyd, Paula Marshall, Audrey Ashley, Sharon Noel, Arlene Beckford, Lisa Carvalho, Mineth Morgan, and Carol Ford. Education Director, Dion London. Education Team, Carlene Donald, Laurel Gordon, Tricia Cooper, and Carol Ford. Adult Fellowship Study Facilitators, Chris Blunt, Tina Riley, Paula Phillips Boyce, Hope Felix, Andy Marshall, Kaya Williams, Derek Rowe, Layla Seal, Jesse Derva, Tobin Cooper, Nadia Laro, Carol Bailey, Richard Picard, and Heather Picard. Lead Elder, Nadia Laro. Elders, Ordained, Carol Bailey, Andy Marshall, Len Carby, Kaya Williams, and Heather Picard. Elders Unordained, Jesse Jerva, Tina Riley. Evangelism Director, Dave Lawrence. Evangelism Team, Jeffrey Guthrie, Ian Barnaby, and Ruel Knight. Nurture Ministries Director, Paula Phillips Boyce. Prayer Leader, Shanique Baines. Prayer Team, Elijah Marie Reed, Layla Seal, and Lizanne Felix. Health Ministry Leader, Hope Felix. Health Team, Irene Dell'Erba and Deborah Campbell. Stewardship Leader, Dahlia Nicholson. Stewardship Team, Isaiah Boyce, Irene Dell'Erba, Adolph Williams, and Shanique Baines. The Connect Group's lead is currently vacant, and so there is also no team. Treasurer, Director, Yvonne Jones. Treasury Team, Jamie Sterling, Cherie Gopi, Helen Blunt, and Dahlia Nicholson. Worship Arts Director, Sharon Riley. Worship Ensemble and Musician Leader, Renee Rowe. Dance Leader for Children and Adults, Kaya Williams. Kanisa Kids Choir Leader, Sharon Riley. Board members, the Children and Youth Ministries Director, the Church Administrator, the Communications Director, Production and Media Director, the Congregational Care Director, Education Director, Lead Elder, Evangelism Director, Nurture Ministries Director, Treasurer, and Worship Arts Director. This is the end of the report.
Thank you, Dee. Apologize that it wasn't on the screen, and I beg the indulgence of our visitors who are coming here today. Thank you for bearing with us. I know there's sometimes we do in-house things just because this is the time we gather, but thank you for your patience for this. So you've heard the report, you've seen it, you've received it during the week, and so this time I'm going to ask for a motion to receive the nominating committee report for 2022. So move, thank you. Is there a second? Okay. So this is what I'm going to do. All of you online, please click the link that you're seeing on the YouTube chat, I believe it'll be on, and you can go ahead and start voting. Here we will do the vote, so I will ask those in favor, please signify with an upraised hand and keep it up so that we can see all hands that are up and we can count, because we want to make sure we want to do this transparently. So those of you who are members of Kanisa, please put your hands up to vote. Dee, you're a member. Oh, okay. Just making sure. So all who are members, please put your hands up. Okay, and Elder Layla, just signify when you've counted everybody. And Jamie's around the corner too, don't forget her. She's right there. Okay. And then those who are opposed, please do the same signal, hands raised. Okay. Thank you very much for that. So we have an idea of the inside vote. Now, I believe Lillian is able to put the vote online on the screen as well. So we'll just give that one more minute for people to put their votes in, and then we want to show it on screen so that it's transparent for everybody. And then we'll be able to go forward. Okay. All right, Lillian, when you're ready, you can put that result on the screen for the responses. So this is since COVID has happened, we're trying to do everything hybrid. So we have in-person stuff going on, and then we have the online stuff, and we're trying to combine it because we want to stay connected. And not everyone's ready to come back to church, so that's why there's a little bit of a delay as we work out the issues, but thank you for your patience. How are we doing? I'm seeing a hand up. So is that wait, or is that we're good, or oh, hold on? Okay, just give it one more minute. Is there any like elevator music kind of chilling? Thank you, Lizanne. That's so nice. I love that song. That's still, isn't it? Yeah, beautiful. We'll give it one more minute. If it's not coming through, we'll have to go with what's here in person, just so that we can keep on track. Not working? Okay. All right, we tried. Those of you online, we will hopefully see the results after, and by God's grace, it will ratify what we've already voted here. It is how many to how many? Okay, so 16 yes, 0 no. It is carried. Thank you so much for taking the time. And I want to say a special thank you to those in the current term that's ending. Thank you for holding on and leading and blessing the church through one of its roughest times in history, I think. This has been amazing. So thank you for all the leaders and teams for keeping it together. And I'm looking forward to the new leaders who will be coming in starting July 1st. It's going to be an adventure as we discover what God is doing in a post-COVID world. Is God still alive? Is he still active? Is he still here? Absolutely. God has not been surprised by COVID. He's worked through COVID. In fact, I think he's taught us a lot of lessons we needed to learn through COVID. It has deepened our trust in him, and so I'm looking forward to the next chapter. Thank you so much for your time.
Good morning, Kanisa. It is seed time. It's our offering time. Today's offering will go to Canadian Indigenous Ministries. So any loose offering that you have that you place in the basket today will go to Canadian Indigenous Ministries. The offering basket will be placed at the front at the end of service, and you could put your offering there as well. There's a debit machine in the foyer, so you can also do your offering via debit. So this morning, the word is commitment. The word is commitment. And after Dee read all the names, those are names that have made a commitment to be in service for the next few years at Kanisa. And by God's grace, each person who put their name forward, who accepted the call to serve, will be committed to God. Not just to service at Kanisa, but will be committed to God, committed to showing the fruits of the Spirit as they work in harmony with each other. And so today I ask for Kanisa Fellowship members, visiting friends, and everyone who visit us to be committed to working with each and every person who has put their hand up to say, yes, I will serve. It is a very heavy load to serve, to take on something and to be committed to it. And so I ask, as one of those people, and for everyone who said yes and who you voted, that you too are committed to helping them to serve. The Lord wants us to work in concert with each other. If COVID has taught us anything, is that we need each other. That when we are away from each other, it is not good. Right? I saw people I haven't seen in a while, and my heart was just flooded with joy to see them. And so I want each one of us, that every time we walk in here, that we hear somebody's voice that we're acquainted with, that our hearts is flooded with joy, because we're committed not just to Kanisa, but we're committed to serving God, and to serving God in the way that He wants us to serve Him. And that is with love, with patience, with kindness, with gentleness, and with forgiveness. Now, Kanisa, I will pray, and as I said at the end of service, you're free to return a tithe and offering to the Lord. For those who are on Zoom, there are links that you could return your tithe and offering as well. If you will just please stand with me as I pray. Dear Lord, I thank you for everyone who's present here today, dear Father. And I thank you for those who are watching online, dear Father. I pray that each one of us will make a commitment, dear Father, to return a tithe and offering to you, dear Lord. Not because you need it, dear Father, but because it's an act of faith. It's an act of growing and worshiping you, dear Father. We pray that you will continue to provide for us, dear Father, and we pray that you will help us, dear Father, that as we open our hands and return a tithe and offering, a gift, dear Father, that you will bless it and multiply it to do your work in Jesus' name. Amen. Please be seated.
Bless the name of the Lord. Is God good? Okay, so you look like you've been sitting for a while. You look like you're just chilling out. I know it's hot, but can you just give me a wave? Just give me a wave. Oh, look at that. Look at that. God bless you. It's good to be in the house of the Lord. Amen. Has it been a week for you? I know it's been a week for me. Has it been a week for you? A good one, a bad one, an indifferent one? Thumbs up, thumbs down, thumbs to the side? Show me something. Yeah? Yeah? Oh, that's nice. I see a lot of thumbs up. Praise God. I wish my son was here because I'd ask him the same thing and he'd probably do this. Anyhow, we sang the song a couple of weeks back and I was online and I was so feeling it. And I had to tell Sister Yolanda, thank you for allowing us to worship with this song. And so, I don't know about you, but do you feel like God is fighting your battles right now? Pushing back the darkness right now? Lighting up the kingdom right now? And all of this is because of the name of Jesus. Amen. So we're going to worship God today in song. Will you participate today? All right. Can you stand? You can just stand. Just stand. Give God a hand clap. Don't worry. Once you feel like sitting, you can sit. But just let's start off together in unity. And we're going to simply sing, Oh. Here we go. Oh, God is fighting for us. God is on our side. He has overcome. Yes, He has overcome. We will not be shaken. We will not be moved. Jesus, you are here. Carrying our burdens. Carrying our burdens. Covering our shame. He has overcome. Yes, He has overcome. We will not be shaken. We will not be moved. Jesus, you are here. I will live. I will live. I will not die. The resurrection power of Christ alive in me, and I am free in Jesus' name. Oh, let's sing again. Oh, 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 oh. We're gonna go. Carrying our burdens, covering our shame. He has overcome, yes. He has overcome. We will not be shaken. We will not be moved. Jesus, you're here. I will live. I will not die. The resurrection power alive in me. I am free. Jesus, I will live, I will live, I will declare and lift you high, Christ in me, and I am free in Jesus' name. Let's do that again. I will live, the same one. I will live, I will not, I will declare and lift you high. Christ revealed, I'm healed, I am healed in Jesus' name. So, I don't know about you, but this week has been rough for me. I don't know about you, but what I love about God is that pretend you're in a boxing ring, and you're like this, getting ready to fight, and the King of Kings and the Lord of Lords comes in, and he says, I got this. And he's going to put up his gloves, and he's going to get in his stance, and he's just going to start doing this. Can you feel that? Can you feel that? And then all you have to say is this. Ready? God is fighting for us, pushing back the darkness, lighting up the kingdom that cannot be shaken. In the name of Jesus, enemies defeated, and we will shout it out. Let's do it again. God is fighting for us, pushing back the darkness, lighting up the kingdom that cannot be shaken. In the name of Jesus, enemies defeated, and we will shout it out, shout it out. God is fighting for us, pushing back the darkness, lighting up the kingdom that cannot be shaken. In the name of Jesus, enemies defeated, and we will shout. I will live, I will live, I will live, I will not die. The resurrection power of Christ alive in me, and I am free in Jesus. Oh, I will live, I will declare and you high. Christ revealed, and I am healed, and I am healed. God is fighting for us, pushing back the darkness, lighting up the kingdom that cannot be shaken. In the name of Jesus, the enemy, and we will shout it out. God is fighting, pushing back, lighting up, that can never be. In the name of Jesus, enemies defeated, and we will shout it out, shout it out. Bless the name of the Lord. Again, you can do what you want to do, stand or sit. But God is so good. He's such a good God. In him will I live, move, and have my being.
Do I live, move, and have my being?
In him do I live, move, and have my being.
Do I live, move, and have my being?
I'm nothing without you.
Nothing without
Lord, I'm nothing without you.
I'm nothing without
Lord, I'm nothing without you.
I'm nothing without
Lord, I'm nothing without you.
I'm nothing without
In him do I live, move, and have my being.
Do I live, move, and have my being?
In him do I live, move, and have my being.
Do I live, move, and have my being?
Lord, I'm nothing without you.
I'm nothing without
Lord, I'm nothing without you.
I'm nothing without
Lord, I'm nothing without you.
I'm nothing without
Lord, I'm nothing without you.
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 nothing without
I'm nothing without you.
nothing without you.
So breathe through me and live in me. Let your glory reign in me. Everybody sing, so breathe, breathe and live. Let your glory,
Let your glory reign
let your glory reign in me. Oh, breathe, breathe through and live through me. Let your glory in me. Oh, say breathe through me, breathe through me. And live through me, live through me. Let your glory, oh, sing breathe through me. And live through me, Lord. Let your glory, Lord. Cause I'm nothing without you.
nothing without
Lord, I'm nothing without you.
I'm nothing without
I can't breathe without you.
nothing without
I don't exist without you.
nothing without
I'm nothing without you.
nothing without
I'm nothing without you.
nothing without
I'm nothing without you.
without
Oh, in me. Let your glory reign in me. So breathe through me and live through me. Let your glory reign in me. Hallelujah. How many believe that you want God to breathe through you? And sometimes we have to stay still in His presence and ask Him for His peace that passes all understanding. And He will guide us, and He will protect us, and He will keep us in our right minds. Do you believe that? There's so much going on in this world. And I know for myself, sometimes I'm like, really, God? Really? But we're on this path, this narrow road, and we just have to keep looking straight ahead, looking to the cross of Jesus, and just know that He will see you through. Do you believe that today? He will see you through. That's not a kinda, that's a promise. And He loves you, and He wants to see you in glory. So if you can just surrender your heart and sometimes just stand still and know that He is God. Bless the name of the Lord. Hide me now under your wings. Cover me within your mighty hand. When the oceans rise and thunders roar, I will soar with you above the storm, over the flood. I will be still, know you are God. I'm going to do that again. When the oceans rise and thunders roar, I will soar with you above the storm. Father, you are King over the flood. I will be still, know you are God. Find rest in Christ alone, in Christ alone. Know His power, in quietness and trust. When the oceans soar with you, Father, you are over the flood. I will be still, know you. When the oceans rise put your hands up in worship and just surrender the stillness of God and know that He loves you in your stillness. And even when you don't know what to do, you can find rest in Jesus. He's there with you right now. He's standing right beside you right now. He has His guardian angels right beside you. They're holding back the strife right now. And you can find peace in the midst of the storm. Bless the name of the Lord. Be still, be still, be still, be still, be still, be still. We're gonna sing, find rest, my soul. Find rest, my soul, in Christ alone, in Christ alone. Know His power, know His power, know His power. In quietness and trust, in quietness. We're gonna do that again. Find rest, my soul. Find rest, my soul. In Christ alone. In Christ alone. Know His power, know His power. Know His power. In quietness and trust. In quietness. We're going to do that one more time because I want you to find the rest. Find the rest. Find rest, my soul, in Christ alone. In Christ alone. Know His power. Build. In quiet rest. When the ocean should rise and thunders roar, I will soar with you above the storm. Father, you are King over the flood. I will be still, I will be still. Oh, when the ocean know you are God.
Church is not about everything happening technically correct at all times. Church is us gathering together around Jesus And come what may, if it's a day like where things are not functioning perfectly, that's okay, because we're family. Who cares? We'll work it out in God's name. We're going to still worship together. Thank you, worship team. That was amazing. I love that song. That song has a lot of special meaning for me still, because I've been through storms in life, and I think you know what that's like. And being able to rely on the God that carries us through the storm, man, that means everything to me. So should I use this, or is the... We will use the mic. That's no problem. I mean, Jesus talked to 5,000 plus without any microphone, so he could figure it out. All right, so we've been talking about peacemaking. Sounds nice, hard to do. Peacemaking. In a world of strife, in a world of conflict, how do we bring peace into our lives? Jesus is the great peacemaker who has reconciled us to God. We are told to come how to the throne of grace? Boldly. The veil has been parted and put aside. We have direct access to God. He's made peace. We don't have to do anything to come to Christ except just trust Him. But now He asks us to partner with Him in making peace, in becoming peacemakers. There is more to following Him than just saying, I believe a certain group of doctrines. Jesus literally wants you and I to become like Him. Do we understand what that means? Romans 8:29 says, we are being conformed to the image of His Son. As you journey with Him, you become more like Him. Have you ever noticed husbands and wives or friends that have journeyed with each other for so long that you just start to get each other? You just start anticipating each other. Some people say you start looking like each other. I don't know if that's true, but I've seen that with dog owners and their dogs. Anyway, there's this weird pattern here. But as you journey, I think Ellen White puts it, as we behold, we become. As we journey with Christ, as we journey with each other, we move together. He makes us into His image. 2 Corinthians 3:18 says we are being transformed into the image of His Son. And Jesus, the peacemaker, is inviting us to become peacemakers as well. Now, 2 weeks ago, when I preached on the peacemaking, something pretty powerful happened that I wanted to tell you about. We talked last time about the third way. When conflict comes into our lives, there are 3 choices that we make. The first choice is that we can become peace fakers. Peace fakers are people that avoid conflict at all costs. And I get that. I've done that before because it's painful dealing with conflict. So better to avoid it, better to pretend everything is cool on the surface, right? Sweep it under the rug means the dirt's still there, but all you see is a nice rug, right? That's called peace faking because it looks like peace, but it ain't peace. The second way that people deal with it is the opposite of peace faking. It's peace breaking. So when something happens in conflict, it brings out the anger in us. You can't treat me like that, right? It makes us hurt. And when we get hurt, we can get angry. And peace breaking is when you respond with aggression and anger back. In either case, peace faking or peace breaking, there is no peace that happens. Escapers bury the anger. Aggressors just use it in a wrong way. By the way, is anger a sin? No. In fact, you may not agree, but I'll say this. There is no such thing as a wrong emotion. You feel what you feel. It's what you do with the emotion that makes all the difference in the world. Escapers bury it. Aggressors express it destructively. But the third way, the way of Jesus, is peacemaking, where you enter into a journey with someone deliberately. You make a choice. I'm going to make peace with this person. I'm going to do my best, my part, at least my part is going to be a peacemaker. How the other person responds is up to them. Now, something very cool happened in the last sermon 2 weeks ago before we had our wonderful worship Sabbath last week. After I preached, a couple of people came up to me and wanted to engage about the sermon, the teaching. And they said something that I thought was very powerful, and I want this to become a normal part of our culture. When I'm preaching, it's not me saying this is the way it is and just shut up and listen and accept it. That's not how it works. I'm engaging with the scriptures, I'm engaging with Christ in my own walk, and I'm sharing my heart with you. And you are engaging the Word of God, you're engaging what you're hearing, and you may have a different view. That's okay. Because when we come together around Jesus and His Word and we are sharing our experiences, sharing our understanding of Scripture, guess what? We grow together. And so this couple came and they were sharing their experience with what I was teaching, and they had a very powerful question because it was something that they had experienced. Here's the question. You were talking, Pastor, about 6 different ways that we deal with conflict. And the first one was overlooking the offense. And then we talked about reconciliation as the next step, negotiation, mediation, arbitration, and finally accountability, if there's no other way. The person said this, what if it's an abuse situation? So what if a person is in an abuse situation and the abuser is saying, just overlook the offense. Just reconcile. You're a Christian, you're a peacemaker after all. What a question, eh? See, that's why I love that they were able to do that and talk about that. So let's make some things very clear as we engage about what does it mean to be a peacemaker. First, conflict resolution is about 2 parties seeking to resolve conflict and make peace. An abuser is not interested in that. An abuse situation is not about peacemaking, it's about a person holding power over another and wanting to keep it that way. They have a vested interest to continue the conflict. So when someone says, overlook the offense, right, they're trying to keep it going. Proverbs 19:11 says that, overlooking an offense. But I want to make it clear, peacemaking is a choice that you must make individually. Somebody doesn't get to say it to you. If somebody hurts you, they don't get to say, I hurt you, now just overlook it. It's not their choice to make for you. You have to make that choice. Okay? Peace is a choice. Abusive people may try to force you to make peace, not to resolve conflict, but to maintain control. So don't let anyone determine how you feel about it and how you are engaging, because forgiveness is a deeply personal process. It's a journey and it takes time. And remember, what's the last step when we go through those 6 steps of conflict? If the person refuses and refuses and refuses to make peace, to truly make peace where that there's no more hurt going on between you guys, the 6th step is accountability. That's key. Accountability. An abuser wants to continue the conflict. In those cases, they must be held accountable for their choices. What does accountability look like? It could be to say to that person, here's the boundary. You cannot cross anymore. Or I'm stepping out of this relationship for now. It may even mean calling 911. Okay? It's making some serious decisions that you are being held accountable for your behavior because you do not want to enter into any process of reconciliation, of conflict resolution. Even in the church, there are points in the Bible where it says when you've tried over and over and the person is flagrantly doesn't care, there comes a point where the person is put out of the community until they repent. That does happen. What I want to make clear, especially to some of us who have gone through abuse, because it's a reality in this sad world, conflict resolution is never about one person having power over another. The whole point of conflict resolution is so that conflict ceases. So an abuser telling somebody, overlook the offense, don't worry about it, that doesn't make conflict cease for the person getting hurt. It only opens the door to more abuse. Okay? Furthermore, I'm spending a little bit of time on this because this is important. Because I never want what we're teaching here to be an excuse for someone to keep hurting someone else. That's not what conflict management and conflict resolution is about. We talked about how conflict has 4 sources. First, misunderstanding. Communication's not flowing, misunderstanding happens, conflict ensues. Second, big one, differences. Differences in personality, differences in goals, differences in opinions. It happens, and you have conflicting ways of doing things. Third, scarcity of resources. You're fighting over the same resources. That can be a source of conflict. It's only the fourth one that is sin is what causes the conflict. Sin. An abuse situation is sin. And so when that is happening, they must be held accountable. Do you remember the parable that Jesus gave in Luke 18? It's the parable of the unjust judge. There is a widow who is getting constant injustice happening to her. It's an abuse of power situation. Jesus doesn't say, oh, just overlook it. Just pretend it's not an issue. He doesn't say that. The widow searched for justice, and he said, God, your Father, sees what's happening, and he will bring justice. So you can be sure that this is not about being a doormat. That's not what it means to follow Jesus. Following Jesus, it means being a peacemaker, and we do it the way Christ told us to do it. When Jesus talked about loving his enemies, remember he said that? He said, if your enemy makes you carry his pack for a mile, that was the law. They can make you do that. He said, carry it for 2. That wasn't being a passive masochistic, I'll just take all the pain you got. It was an act of war using peaceful weapons. You see? It was an act of war using peaceful weapons. All right, Elder Layla. It was an act of war using peaceful weapons. Okay? When people are hurting you and abusing you, and you're in a situation where there is no conflict resolution, Jesus says, fight. Fight using my weapons. Make a statement. That's conflict resolution. That's what church is about, is that when we can come together and share together our journeys, our stories, our hurts, our struggles. So I'm grateful for this couple that did that, and I hope that it helps you understand a little bit more of what it means to enter into the process of peacemaking. All right, let's start with a word of prayer, and then we'll get into our teaching for today. Father in heaven, those of us right now who have gone through and are going through conflict, or, Father forbid, but if it's happening, if there's even abuse, I pray for your Spirit to enter into these situations and work mightily, Lord, with your weapons to destroy the work of the devil, that you will cause peace to happen, and if need be, that you will cause even separation from the hurt to happen, but you will give us wisdom so that we might become peacemakers with you. In this church, in these families that are represented here, and those connecting online, Lord, there is conflict. It happens in this world. I mean, we can barely manage ourselves sometimes, much less relationships around us. Of course it's going to happen, but teach us through the Prince of Peace how to make peace. In the name of Jesus, amen. All right, let's look at our teaching today. Specks and Logs. Specks and Logs. Matthew 7, 1-5, very familiar. It's the part of the Sermon on the Mount. Jesus says, do not judge, or you too will be judged. For in the same way you judge others, you will be judged. And with the measure you use, it will be measured to you. Why do you look at the speck of sawdust in your brother's eye and pay no attention to the plank or the log in your own eye? How can you say to your brother, let me take the speck out of your eye, when all the time there is a log in your own eye? You hypocrite, first take the log out of your own eye, and then you will see clearly to remove the speck from your brother's eye. All right, he's talking about a conflict situation now. Two people, they're looking to try to resolve, and there's this idea of picking things out of the other person's eye. All right, well-known teaching of Jesus. A lot of people read this and they think it means don't make moral judgments about other people's lives, period. Don't judge at all. That's not what Jesus is saying. If you just go down that chapter to verse 15 to 20, Jesus is talking about there's wolves among you, and some have good fruit, good trees that bear good fruit, but there's also those that have bad fruit and bad trees that bear bad fruit. How do you know what's good and bad if you don't have some kind of judgment system in place? My son is 15. If I found out that he tried to smoke, I wouldn't say, well, I can't judge you. Jesus said not to judge you. I judge him. I say, what do you think you're doing? That's a stupid thing. Right? So it's not saying don't ever say anything about your life or anybody else's life and just live in this namby-pamby world of never saying anything and not getting involved. That's not what it means. What does actually Jesus mean here? The parable is saying blindness. Judging other people's flaws while being completely blind to your own. He's saying, I want us to hear this clearly because it's critical when we are talking about conflict. Before you talk to others about their faults, Jesus wants you to face your own. Here's the principle then. When it comes to conflict, start with yourself. That's hard. That's hard, I know. But are we trying to follow Jesus? And that's the process. That's what he wants. He says, once you've dealt with your contribution to the conflict, you will be seeing clearer and you will be in a better position to talk about the other person. I know how hard this is. Christ's teaching turns everything upside down. He has a habit of doing that. We can sometimes read the word and so just kind of gloss over it. Oh, isn't this wonderful? But if you try to actually apply it in your life, it would turn your life upside down because it's hard. It's getting to the core of issues. We said this last time. We have a habit as human beings, and I'm going to say it in the church too. We have a habit where if somebody hurts us, we will automatically attribute that person to the worst possible reason. Somebody at church, you hear they're talking about you, and so what's our automatic thing? We say, well, that person's the devil of hell. That person is an evil person. That's why that conflict is happening. That's why. They must be evil. My spouse doesn't listen. My spouse is always interrupting. They must be abusive. We just automatically go to that. We push that sin button very quickly on the other person. Why do we do that? Because if I can make everything everyone else's fault, then I'm halo on my head. I'm faultless, right? If I can attribute that person's actions to being completely evil, it means that I'm scot-free. I've done nothing wrong. And so when Jesus is asking you to have a look at the log in your own eye, something that's far bigger than the other person's eye, it's serious because he's telling you don't give in to this notion that you start putting everything on the other person. It's all their fault. It's all their issue. What about you? Look at your own stuff. When we can't see the log in our own eye, conflict has a way of spiraling out of control. Has this ever happened to married couples? Let me give you a little example. Husband comes home from a long business trip, and he's looking forward to his wife's wonderful cooking. There's my wife, and she cooks wonderfully indeed. And she, on the other hand, is weary of cooking and would prefer to eat out. Seems like a fairly simple conflict. But look what happens. The wife presses him, let's go out to eat tonight. And he grumbles that she doesn't care about how sick and tired he is of restaurant food. She responds about how insensitive he has been, about how hard she has worked in his absence. He counters with the comment, well, we need to be watching our budget. And she raises the question, and then why'd you get that new computer last month? And so what first started as a simple discussion about whether we should eat out or not has now become about selfishness, lack of sensitivity, domestic responsibilities, a new computer. It's become a tangled mess. See, we all have 20/20 vision when it comes to the other person's actions, the way we see what they've done. We can see how clearly they are, how terrible they are, how selfish they are, how disrespectful they've been. It's a lot harder to judge ourselves. We have a curious blindness. I have noticed this. This is how God made it. Why didn't God make us solitary animals, like, you know how some animals are all by themselves? Why did he make us for community? Because I don't know Frank Dell'Erba until I actually have people reflecting back who I am. I get a better understanding of myself through other people, especially my wife, who tells it like it is. Mamma mia. Does she ever? But that's the facts. If I was on my own, I would develop curious blind spots. I'd see some things well, but there are things I don't see. That's why we need each other. Listen to this. We judge others by their actions, but we judge ourselves by our intentions. I will say it again. We judge others by their actions. We judge ourselves by our intentions. There's this constant imbalance because we know what's in our heart and we know why we do things. That's why we can practice this self-talk where we say, yes, I said some harsh things to her, but I know why I did that. Because I needed to set her in her place because yesterday she was harsh to me. And so you know all your thought processes that cause you to make that judgment call and be harsh. All she's receiving is harshness. And meanwhile, he doesn't think and realize that she's saying the same thing. That her harshness is coming out of her hurt because of how harsh he was. And so we get this cycle of self-justification and the conflict spirals out of control. Because nobody is looking at the logs in their own eye. In years of doing counseling, especially with marriage counseling, there's this thing that I call it the chicken or the egg question, because there's always a search for who first hurt me. Is it the husband that hurt the wife first? Is the wife that hurt the husband first? And there's this back and forth trying to figure out who caused it at the beginning so we can determine, okay, this is the person's reaction to this, and this constant back and forth. But Jesus says that the starting point for healing and for peacemaking is yourself, not the other person. Imagine if you had a couple in conflict or friends in conflict, co-workers, church members, and each one is brutally calling themselves on the issues they have in bringing this conflict into existence. They are calling themselves on it. Imagine that was the normal. That's how conflicts start to resolve. Because now people have humbled themselves and said, yes, you hurt me, but let me see what I've done to make this happen as well. And that's your focus for now. And you're asking God to open your eyes to that. You can trace this same circular pattern of destruction. Have you followed at all the Russia and Ukraine conflict? You can go back history in hundreds of years of who's saying who hurt first and how this happened, and you have justification on both sides. We certainly have an opinion on who's getting attacked, but they have their own justifications too. That's what happens in every conflict. Jesus is asking us to call ourselves on where we place the blame. Like I said, in an abuse situation, that's not how it works, right? You are still looking at yourself, but if the person is continuing that, get out of that situation. But in general, when it comes to conflict where it's involving misunderstanding, where it's involving people having a difference of opinion or personalities, where it's people just trying to figure out how do we use these resources that are limited, these kind of conflicts, Jesus is saying, look to yourself. Ask yourself what your role is. Look to the logs in your own eyes. And then you'll have clarity, true clarity, to be able to see the specks in the others. The Apostle Paul gives some fascinating advice. And I'm going to share some scriptures with you that I've never seen it in this light before. Because when you look at your Bible, sometimes you not only do you have chapters, but you have headings. Each heading is, okay, this section talks about this section talks about that. Well, guess what? That didn't exist in the New Testament. Paper was very rare. Everything was written in capitals, no spaces. It was just long sentences like that. You ever see some of Paul's sentences that seem to go on forever and ever? That's how he talked. And he has all these things he's trying to cram in there. And so we sometimes separate one thing from another, not realizing they are connected. And I'll show you what I mean. Philippians 4, verses 2 to 9. Paul is talking to us about a conflict. It's a real conflict. Real life example. And you may be surprised that some of our most cherished scriptures, Hope, I think you mentioned it in the worship, some of the stuff in this scripture, that it was actually written as a response to conflict. It's meant to help us become peacemakers. So listen to this, verse 2. Now I appeal to Euodia and Syntyche. How's that for some names? Please, because you belong to the Lord, settle your disagreement. And I ask you, my true partner, Paul's talking to the person he's writing to help these two women, for they worked hard with me in telling others the good news. They worked along with Clement and the rest of my co-workers whose names are written in the book of life. So let me stop right there for a moment. These women are having a serious enough disagreement that God caused it to be recorded in the Bible. Okay? It's there. Paul says, these women are not like evil, bad people. They say, these are women that help me preach the gospel. Their names are written in the book of life. This is significant. Because in spite of the love they have for God, in spite of their good works, in spite of both of them working in the church, with even one of the greatest spiritual leaders of all time, the Apostle Paul, they still had a falling out. Have you ever wondered how the disciples who walked with Jesus, the Prince of Peace, were constantly fighting? Don't be surprised when conflict flares up in the church. It does happen. It's how do we deal with it as brothers and sisters in Christ? That's what I want to teach. That's what I want us to learn and make it a reality in our lives. So here's these two women. They're fighting. Paul's concerned about it. He writes about it to the entire Philippian church. And he continues in verse 4. This is where I automatically in my mind make a separation and say, okay, this is a different section. But that's not the case. Paul seems to be addressing this same conflict as he gets into these scriptures. Listen to them. They're very familiar. But this time apply it to conflict resolution. Rejoice in the Lord always. I will say it again. Rejoice. Let your gentleness be evident to all. Why would he mention that? Oh, because he's talking to Euodia and Syntyche who are fighting. The Lord is near. Do not be anxious about anything, but in every situation, by prayer and petition, with thanksgiving, present your requests to God. And the peace of God, which transcends all understanding, will guard your hearts and your minds in Christ Jesus. He's talking about your hearts getting guarded, because when you're in conflict, your hearts are wide open to hurt, right? Finally, brothers and sisters, whatever is true, whatever is noble, whatever is right, whatever is pure, whatever is lovely, whatever is admirable, if anything is excellent or praiseworthy, think about such things. Whatever you have learned or received or heard from me or seen in me, put it into practice, and the God of peace will be with you. Have you ever read this? I've never read it this way, that this is about resolving conflict. And when I did, I began to see, the scales fell from my eyes, as some people have said, right? I saw something powerful here. The Bible is so serious about dealing with conflict. We are big on theology. We talk about the book of Romans as being this wonderful theological book on righteousness by faith and so on, and it is. But why did Paul write that book? Because Jews and Gentile believers were in conflict. Instead of him telling them, I've said this before, Jews, you go and make your own church over here. Gentiles, you make your own church over there, and you can live happily ever after. He says, no, you belong to Jesus now. You need to learn to get along. In spite of your Jewish history, all the way back to Abraham, in spite of Gentiles not knowing a single thing about Jesus except saying, yes, he's my Savior, I want the two of you to coexist and learn to be family. That's huge. So what does Paul say here? What is he trying to express to us about conflict resolution? How do we resolve conflict? First of all, rejoice in the Lord always. When you're going through conflict, be God-centered. Worship. Do you remember last week when we were having our Sabbath worship, day of worship and praise? We talked about 7 Hebrew words of praise. Do you remember that one word, tauda? Tauda literally means to be praising God with thanksgiving, even for things not yet received. It's a powerful word. Imagine that while you're in conflict, you are praising and worshiping God for the resolution that is to come. You are worshiping Him and acknowledging Him as the ruler over even this conflict. When you remember how good God has been in your life, when you think of the sacrifice Christ has made on the cross, the conflict shrinks to its right place. The devil hates when you look to God, because when you get into a conflict, where does your heart hang? Where does your heart hang out? Where do you hang your head? Your hat. I hang my head too when I'm in a conflict, but we hang out with the pain because that's what's hurting us. That's what I think about when someone's hurting me. And Paul's saying, no, rejoice in the Lord. Keep your mind focused on Him. When Paul said, rejoice in the Lord always, and I will say it again, rejoice, do you remember where he was when he wrote these words? Prison. A Roman prison. I've been to it. It's quite something. It's way down underground there. It's not pleasant. It's not fun. But somehow he was able to realize God is present even here. Rejoice in Him, even in the darkness, even in the conflict. I saw that last week, by the way, just the power of praise. People came here last Sabbath, and even with the issues and struggles they were having, they were worshiping. Number 2, he said, let your gentleness be evident to all. This is a powerful word in Greek. The Greek word can be translated, it's rich in meaning. Patient, large-hearted, gentle, courteous, considerate, generous, lenient, moderate. It is the opposite of irritable, rude, and abrasive. It is the one fruit of the Spirit that is more powerful than any when it comes to conflict. You all heard of the golden rule. The golden rule, treat others as you want to be treated. The golden rule. Have you ever heard of the golden result? The golden result is when you treat others as you want to be treated, they will tend to treat you back the way you treated them. That's the golden result. People will usually treat you the way you treat them. If you treat people with gentleness and with courtesy, even in the midst of conflict, it will elicit the same response. Proverbs 15, verse 1, a soft word turns away wrath, but a harsh word stirs up anger. It matters. Number 3, the Lord is near. Paul is reminding these two friends that are fighting, these two women that are fighting, and he's reminding the church, God is near. This small little phrase has carried me through some rough times. Paul is saying this from his prison. In the midst of battles, conflicts, hurts, and uncertainties, there is a reality we often forget, because when I'm hurt, I want to think about my pain. If I even get a paper cut, you ever had a paper cut? It's just a tiny thing, but it's like, ow! And you're looking at your finger and your whole body's affected because you're concentrating on the pain. That's how we're normally made. And God's reminding us, no, wait a minute. I know you're hurting. I know you're hurting. I acknowledge your pain, but I'm with you in the pain. Let me soothe you. Let me take care of you. Let me remind you of my presence. One of the greatest hurts I ever went through in my life many years ago. It was a kind of hurt where I would be in the office working, and then maybe in every hour or so, I would go to a washroom where I could lock the door. It's just me, and it's just a single washroom, and I'd sit on the floor and I would be crying. It was that kind of a situation. And I came to a realization. It took me so much time because I was so focused on my pain. There came a point where I realized there was somebody else in the darkness with me. There's somebody here in the dungeon with me. And you realize it's Jesus. He's been here the whole time. And I've been so full of my pain that I couldn't see, I couldn't feel it, but now I realize it. And the scriptures is constantly reminding you, the Lord is near. Are you in conflict? The Lord is near. Then he says, replace your anxiety with prayer. Replace your anxiety with prayer. I know about anxiety. It's happened in my life. When somebody hurts me, when someone hurts you, like a dog to the bone, that's what we start thinking about. And it wrecks our peace. You ever wake up even in the middle of the night and you're thinking about what that person did? The scripture says, replace that anxiety with prayer. Give the anxiety to God. By prayer, let Him give you back some peace. Paul puts it this way, prayer, petition, and thanksgiving. It's starting to crackle a bit. I don't know if you can hear it. Okay. Prayer, petition, and thanksgiving. Prayer is that communication with God. It's listening as well as speaking. But petition is a specific kind of prayer where you say, God, I'm in conflict. I have an ask for you. I have a request. Please help me to see the log in my own eye. Please help me to understand how to make peace with this, how to step forward and extend the olive branch, or when I need to draw back and say, okay, I need to let some time and space pass. Give me some wisdom here. You're praying, and then he says thanksgiving. That's a hard one for me when I'm in conflict, but give thanks to God, not just because he's going to take care of the conflict, but what if he's teaching us something through the conflict? That's hard. But I bet those disciples who had all that conflict with Jesus, he used those experiences to teach them something important about trusting in him, about learning to love one another. Husbands and wives, do you learn to love one another when everything goes perfect or even through the fights and struggles? I would even say that the point of marriage is some of those struggles. Because there's two people who are completely different in life and they make a decision to be together for the rest of their lives, and you are going to fight. And you don't ignore those fights and you don't try to avoid them. You lean into them and say, okay, there's something for me to learn in this fight about her, about myself. Conflict can be good when we let God use it to bring us closer to him and each other. There's a wonderful song called Trading My Sorrows. I'm trading my sorrows, I'm trading my shame, I'm trading my anxiety for God's grace and God's peace. Last thing he says, second last. He says, see things for how they really are. Do you remember that verse where he says, how does he put it here? Whatever is true, whatever is noble, whatever is right, whatever is pure, whatever is lovely, whatever is admirable. I think about this scripture all the time, but I've never applied it in a conflict situation. I said, Lord, wait a minute. Are you asking me to look at the other person and see what's admirable and pure and true and good in that person? Yes, that's the way of Jesus. Because when you're in conflict, what do you think of the other person? Losers, jerks. I don't see anything positive about them. I only see the negative. In fact, you so fill your mind with negativity that it becomes impossible for you to be objective and be able to think anything positive about them. Every value they have, every goal they have, everything they do, it's all negative. It's all misjudged. Because we have filled our minds with poison, with the negativity of the hurt that they've caused us. And so here, the scriptures is saying, even with them, the other person who's hurting you, what's good there? What's good there? What's good in that person's life? I went through this recently. It's not easy. Because you start seeing a pattern, oh yeah, but even 2 years ago they were like this, even 5 years ago they were like this, and you start thinking that the person's always been a jerk, always been a terrible person, because it helps you feel better in a weird way. Whatsoever is good, whatsoever is pure, lovely, admirable, excellent, praiseworthy. Like I said before, I want to say it again because I don't want to be misunderstood. If it's an abuse situation, it needs to be confronted and separated from. That's an imbalance of power, trying to look for the good and all that. But even when you've made some safe distance, sometimes it helps to even understand what's in the other person. There are people, for example, that have been abandoned when they were children. And when they become adults, they try to control everything because they don't want to be abandoned again. That control becomes abuse. It doesn't make the abuse okay, but you understanding where it comes from can give you something to pray into, can give you some compassion. You don't put yourself back into it, but you can hope that the person gets help. Proverbs 11:27 says, he who seeks good finds goodwill. Evil comes to him who searches for it. You can look for good in people and you can find something there. You can look for evil and you can also find it there. Finally, Paul says in verse 6, practice what you've learned. Paul knew what he was talking about when it came to conflict. Do you remember what happened when he came to Philippi? Massive conflict, massive issues. He was thrown in jail. This is where he was put in the stocks, and him and Silas were singing hymns and praising God. He's following his own advice. And in the middle of the night, there was the earthquake. and the Philippian jailer was converted and all that. Do you remember that story? He knows about conflict. And Paul knows our human nature, that it is easy to hear the word but not do it. That's why he urged these two women in this story, and the Philippian church, and to Kanisa church, all of us, put it into practice. In your conflicts, check for the log in your own eye. Make worship a practice even when you're in conflict. Be gentle. Remember God is near. Replace your anxiety of the conflict with prayer and thanksgiving. And look for the best even in the person that's hurting you, that you're in conflict with. Make a decision to put it all into practice. And Paul makes this marvelous promise at the end. The God of peace will be with you. So let me close with a story. Much of the material that I've been talking about with Peacemaker is coming out of Peacemaker Ministries. It's literally a ministry of reconciliation and healing for Christians, for churches, and anybody who comes to them. Peacemaker. And it's a book called Peacemaker. And the author and president of Peacemaker Ministries, Ken Sand, he shares this story. It's a true story. And I hope it illustrates some of these principles here. And it's powerful. At last he had his chance. Clutching his prepared statement in his hand, Pastor Mark sat down in the front pew, ready to get even with the elders. What a story, elder? Man, 6 months ago, they had refused to support his promotion to senior pastor. They had stood silently by when Mark was slandered in a congregational meeting. Worst of all, some of them have repeatedly talked about him behind his back, voicing their doubts about his ability to fill the shoes of the retiring pastor. After months of escalating tension, the elders finally called in a team of trained conciliators from Peacemaker Ministries. They taught peacemaking to the congregation. They facilitated personal discussion. They encouraged Mark and the elders to set an example for the church by acknowledging their own contributions to the problem. But Mark could not let go of his perception that the elders' repeated sins against him far outweighed his own mistakes. We do that, right? After the second weekend of meetings, the elders were called and they decided they were going to make a corporate confession of their wrongs to the congregation. Powerful. Their prepared statement did not go as far as Mark and his wife would have liked. However, because of that, he and his wife Donna planned to go to the meeting and publicly elaborate on the elders' sins against them. Church, wonderful. So this is happening. And so as the service began, one of the conciliators preached on reconciliation, explained the goals and the format of the meeting. He gave the microphone to the head elder. Reading from a prepared statement, the head elder acknowledged several ways that they had wronged Pastor Mark. Then he looked straight at Mark and Donna and said, "We have sinned against you both, and we have caused you great pain. We are so very sorry." It was evident from the tears in his eyes and the emotion in his voice that he was speaking from the heart. Another elder steps up, and he confessed his own sin, and he asked for forgiveness from the associate pastor and the congregation. A third elder did the same. The conciliators expected only 2 or 3 elders to come up, but 7 out of the 9 elders all stepped forward to make their own personal confessions. Now, Mark is battling with his own thoughts. The golden result. He was still angry. He was still hurt. But the elder's words had put a crack in the wall he had built around his heart. His wife sensed that he needed a few moments to collect his thoughts, so she stood up and stepped up to the microphone. Turning to the elders, Donna said, "I came here tonight planning to tell everyone how much you have hurt Mark and me. But in the last few minutes, God has shown me how wrong I have been. I finally understand what the Lord has been trying to tell me in 1 John 3:15. By holding on to my hatred, I have been murdering each one of you in my heart for months. I am so much more guilty than you are. I do forgive you. I ask you to forgive me." As she stepped back to her seat, Donna's face showed the freedom she was feeling. The bitterness had been washed away. And so now Pastor Mark walks up and his feet feel like they're made of lead as he went to the microphone. Because there's this war in his heart and it was building to a climax. He could hold on to his anger and try to get even with the elders for the pain they had caused him. Or he could find freedom and peace by forgiving them and confessing his own wrongs. With growing emotion, he realized he can't do both. That's why peacemaking's a choice. "Help me, God," he prayed silently as he reached the microphone. And suddenly his fingers opened and his notes fell to the ground. Turning to face the elders, he spoke words that he never expected to say that night. "Donna was wrong. I am actually the guiltiest person of all. As associate pastor, I should have set an example of humility and submission. I should have trusted God to work through the elders and congregation to select the next senior pastor of this church. Instead, I let my desire for this position control me, so I took matters into my own hands. I exalted myself. I became defensive when people raised honest concerns about my abilities. I became angry that people were talking about me behind my back, but then I did exactly the same thing. Instead of going to talk with those who had spoken against me, I avoided them. I wallowed in resentment. Even when some people asked for my forgiveness, I refused to give it. I have failed you miserably as your pastor. And worst of all, I dragged Donna into my bitterness. I ask God for his forgiveness, and I hope that he gives you grace to forgive me too." The elders rose as one to embrace Mark. Reaching out, they drew Donna into the circle. And after a few moments, another voice was heard behind them. 2 additional microphones had been set up for the congregation. An elderly man stood before one of them, and he wanted to take his share of the blame. And before he was done speaking, a woman moved to the other mic, compelled by the same spirit to find peace through confession. Then another and another and another confessed their sins and their slander and divisiveness and hardness of heart. Each person became his own accuser. 45 minutes of confession. And after that, quietness fell over the congregation. One of the conciliators closed the meeting with prayer. And when he finished, he sensed God was not done working. So he suggested that the people turn around and greet one another with this exhilarating truth: the Lord has forgiven all of your sins. So the people began to share the good news with each other. They hugged and they talked for so long that the conciliators made a quiet exit. They knew that these people were in good hands, God's hands. Peace can happen. As Paul said, the Lord is near. Some of you are in conflict right now. There are people in your history that have deeply wounded you. How do you make things right? How does your heart heal from this? Invite the peacemaker into your life. Invite him to forgive the hurts that have happened to you as he has forgiven you for your hurts. Invite him to begin that process of reconciliation with some others in this congregation or in your work or wherever it is that you need healing. In the connection card, there's a prayer there. Lord, by your grace, give me courage to remove the log out of my own eye first and bring peace into the conflicts in my life. Amen. So as we close, I want to pray for us all right now. That God will give us the courage to deal with our own roles in our conflicts and to bring his supernatural peace into our lives. Let's bow our heads. Father in heaven, this is where Christianity it becomes real, where the rubber meets the road. It's one thing to have a lot of theological knowledge. It's another to love one another even through the hurts, even through the pain that people have put on us and caused in us. The back talk that's happened, the slander. The inability to even meet with the person and say, is this true? Did this really happen? Can we talk about it? We carry those wounds, Lord. And they are wounds, and they burden us down. But you didn't create us, Lord, to be burdened with these wounds. You created us for freedom. You show us the way through the Prince of Peace. And it's not an easy way that instantly gets fixed, but Lord, you ask us to enter into this process of conflict resolution, of healing, of peacemaking. As you give us the courage to look at our own roles in the conflicts of our lives, help us to experience your peace. Help us to rejoice even when there's hurt going on. Help us to know that you're near. Help us to be gentle in our responses with one another. Help us to replace our anxiety with prayer. Help us to see even good things, even the good things in our opponents who disagree and cause us pain. Teach us, Lord, how to put this all into practice. Father, I pray your blessing over Kanisa Church and those who are connecting online and all who are visiting with us, Lord, because conflict is not unique to any church or any group of people. It is a human thing. And there is no human solution to conflict. There's only Jesus. As he heals us, Lord, help us to extend that healing to one another. And as the scripture says, the God of peace will be with you all. In Jesus' name, amen.
Bless the name of the Lord. Specks and logs. How big is the log in your own eye? Pastor said something as he was closing just now. He said, find peace through confession. In Luke 18, verse 10, it says, 2 men went to the temple to pray. One was proud, self-righteous Pharisee, and the other a cheating tax collector. The proud Pharisee prayed, quote unquote, this prayer: thank God I am not a sinner like everyone else, especially like that tax collector over there, for I never cheat, I don't commit adultery, I go without food twice a week, and I give to God 1/10 of everything I earn. But the corrupt tax collector stood at a distance and dared not even lift his eyes to heaven as he prayed, but beat upon his chest in sorrow, exclaiming, God, be merciful to me, a sinner. As we go into our mission, our vision, and our theme song, my prayer is that God would give each of us peace as we confess who we really are before God and look to be a blessing to others and look for the good in them, even as God searches for good in us. I'm going to welcome you to stand with me at this time. And when we get to our prayer, after we get to the prayer, we're going to review the results. Yeah, thank you. After we get to the prayer, we're going to have a couple more announcements, and we're just going to review the results that have been tallied for you. So I'm going to invite you to say the mission and the vision with me. Say it thoughtfully, own it, make it yours. And even as we repeat this mission and vision today, say it in the spirit of the sermon that we just listened to that just affected many of us. Say it with a spirit of peace. See how you can live this out as the Holy Spirit brings people and situations to mind that have even happened among us where peace and reconciliation needs to be restored. Kanisa Fellowship is a community-oriented Christian church that provides an accepting and loving atmosphere for worship. We are committed to empowering our membership to improve their quality of life by nurturing their personal relationship with Jesus Christ, through practical application of the Word of God. Our desire is to claim and reclaim souls for God's kingdom. We truly believe that you are coming soon. Everything around us tells us, even those of us who've been here before, we've been through the disaster, we've been through the rising of wars, we've been through a good few El Nino years where everything is going wrong in nature, but Lord, it seems to be cycling faster. It seems to be triggered easier, and it seems to be leaving way more damage in its wake. And Lord, even if there are a few more miles to go and a few more years to go, we don't know how long we have. And we believe that as surely as you came the first time, you will come the second time. So today, oh God, we ask that the word that Pastor shared with us, Lord God, that was born out of experience, his own personal experience and collective experience, helping so many others to deal with conflict, resolve conflict, and find their peace. God, we invite you this morning to be in the midst of our universes, our minds, our hearts, our values, our decision-making, and our choices to forgive. Be in the midst of each one of us so that as we come together as a church, you are in our collective midst, oh God. We pray that truly love, peace, joy, faith, hope, goodness, patience, long-suffering will dwell here. We ask that we will choose to let our minds dwell on those things that are pure and lovely and of good report and of virtue. If they meet all those requirements, those are the things we're going to ponder in the night season and ruminate on. We ask that you do a new thing. Do something that only you can take credit for. God, we ask that we will step out of the way and let you have your way in our church in this new season. God, forgive our sins, heal our diseases, show yourself strong so that this church will never run out of reasons to praise you. We ask these things together. Let this church say amen and amen. Don't leave yet. You may just have your ear for a moment, and before the team leads us in some more prayers, remember, at 2 o'clock, we're going outside on the front lawn. We're going to share ice cream together. There should be options there for you depending on what your preference of ice cream is. We probably have it. I also want you to remember September 10 is a date I need you to remember. September 10, that is when Children's Church will resume. I forgot to announce that this morning. Today was our last Children's Church for the summer, but they'll be resuming September 10. And July 1, it's a holiday weekend, no fellowship study that night, okay? No fellowship study that night. So bear those in mind. Thank you for your attention. On the screen, you will see our final results. the final vote, I did write it down. I think it was 36. 36 voted yes, and we had 1 no. And that's the tally of both in the building and online this morning. So thank you very much for your participation. God bless you. May His Spirit rest, remain, and abide with you. Enjoy the rest of your Sabbath. Look forward to seeing you again, and enjoy the music.
Just a reminder, as if you have an offering, the basket is in the front that you can drop it in there. Have a blessed Sabbath. Good to see you. Good to see you. Good to see you. Water you turned into wine. Open the eyes of the blind. There's no one like you. None like you. Into the darkness you shine. Out of the ashes we rise. There's no one like you, none like you. Our God is greater, our God is greater, our God is stronger. God, you are higher than any. God is healer, our God, awesome. Our God, our God is greater. Stronger. God, you are higher than any. Our God is healer. Awesome. Our God is greater. Our God is greater. Our God is healer. Awesome. Awesome in power, our God is greater, sing, stronger, higher, our God is healer, awesome in power, our God. And if our God is for us, then who could ever stop us? And if our God is with us, then what can stand against? And if our God is for us, then who could ever stop us? And if our God is with us, then what can stand against? If our God is for us, then who could ever stop us? And if our God is with us, then what can stand against? And if our God is for us, then who could ever stop us? And if our God, can we do that? And if our God is for us, then who could ever stop us? And if our God is with us, then what can stand against? And if our God is for us, then who could ever stop us? And if our God is with us, then what can stand against? Stand against. Stand against. Stand against. Our God is strong. Greater. God, you are higher than any healer. Our God is awesome. Our God is great.